From Capitol Square to City Hall, Rich Herrera is asking the questions we want asked.
This is Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera on News Radio WRVA.
WRVA news time is 7:33. You're listening to the Voice of Virginia. Richmond's Morning News with Rich Herrera, News Radio WRVA. We have an exclusive interview with you. So as I was sitting there on Sunday watching UFC Freedom 250, I looked online, I looked at my phone, and our friend John McGuire, our congressman from here in Central Virginia, was at the fight. And I go, wow, look at all these great photos. Then I learned that there was a terrorist plot that was targeting that same event. And my mind instantly raced to how wonderful it is that we have an FBI and a Secret Service is able to root that out, that a mother was concerned enough. She saw something, she said something, because it could have been an incredibly tragic night instead of the celebration that we saw on the White House lawn. Let's bring in Congressman John McGuire, who was there that night, get his reaction this morning on News Radio WRVA. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Rich. Yeah, it was apple pie, baseball, and American flags at the UFC. I mean, there was so much patriotism everywhere. Everybody was fired up. And I've read that the one thing about the UFC, our country is very divided, unfortunately. But the one thing about the UFC, especially with young men, is Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter. Everybody's a fan. And we had everybody there. But the coolest thing is I think 70% of the participant was military members, all branches of the service. So we had Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. We had Guardians from Space Force. And I got there a couple hours early and shook the hands of countless soldiers who are, defending our country. But yeah, it was just so patriotic. It was a great event. We had a great time.
I saw some of the photos, and I've been to events like this with you. In fact, first time we met face-to-face was at the Navy's 250th birthday over in Norfolk. So I've seen you interact with the sailors, interact with the troops, and to see all of those young men and women being able to see something as special as that on the White House lawn, and being UFC fans, being able to be that close to the action, that's something normal, everyday folks like them never get a chance to do. I thought it was special. I thought it was special that when Michael Chandler came out, he had a Medal of Honor winner with him, and all the Medal of Honor winners, Medal of Honor honorees. I don't want to say the word winner. I want to make sure I state that correctly. The recipients. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. All the recipients of the Medal of Honor, who they get a salute from no matter who it is. It could be a 5-star. It could be everybody salutes them because they mean so much to this country. To watch them walk out with the fighters, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it was very patriotic. These Medal of Honor winners escorted each fighter out. There's a guy named Diego Lopez. He defeated Steve Garcia in knockout, round 2, 2 minutes 42. He's the first person in history to win a UFC fight at the White House, so that was pretty cool. You probably listen. This was a whole lot better than the drag queen story hour they had during the Biden administration. It's a return to greatness for our great nation. You probably remember the controversial comment from Josh Hockett saying that Michelle Obama is a man. I mean, look, they can't take a joke. And then, the last fight, Justin, I can't say his name right, Gustry, he defeated Ilya Topuria by TKO. It was round 4. His face was so tore up. I mean, he kept charging into his fist. I would think that maybe as I have a little bit of a background in a fighter myself, he would adjust his strategy. But even when it wasn't going well, he didn't adjust his strategy. So he just had an orbital, fracture, and his face was all swelled up, and they stopped the fight. But he was undefeated. That was his first defeat. But that was the highlight, or the main event fight. It was definitely exciting.
Well, and you saw all those people come together, and I got that comment. I mean, I just wish we would have found more ways to keep people together. But even before this thing started, sir, people are trying to tear this event apart.
Yeah, you know what it is. It's this Trump derangement syndrome is real. If he would cure cancer, they'd say he put doctors out of work. But Freedom 250, flags everywhere, patriotism everywhere. And, we celebrated Flag Day. We celebrated 250 years of American exceptionalism. We celebrated President Trump's 80th birthday. and everybody was smiling and happy. It was just great.
Okay. Now, your reaction to what we've seen over the last 24 hours, that there was a plot to attack this event that we've talked about, that just was dripping red, white, and blue. All the servicemen and women there enjoying themselves with the commander in chief. And there were kids. I mean, they're teenagers, they're young men that were plotting on attacking that event. What's your reaction?
I think I heard Vice President J.D. Vance say it. We need to lower the temperature, and obviously, overwhelmingly, majority of the I guess danger or harm comes from the left. They seem to think that words are violence, and so they can attack you. But you said it earlier that we have the best men and women in our law enforcement, our Secret Service, our FBI, our military, and we're just thankful we had them. Thankful for the mom that saw something and said something. But we have to stay vigilant. Evil does exist. And we can't let that evil stop us from having a good time. But I would ask all Americans, if you see something, say something, do something. Let's keep an eye on each other. It is a dangerous world out there.
I plan on attending events in the mall. My son's coming in from Arizona. He gets here on the 1st. We plan on spending time during this 4th of July semi-quincentennial celebration in D.C. We will do so proudly, but I think people have to be concerned that the rhetoric is getting so wild right now that I'm sure there are people that are going to have second thoughts about going to D.C. or celebrating publicly the 4th of July. And to me, sir, that's heartbreaking.
It is. I think the radical left and the folks that want to divide our nation, I think the CCP China has a lot to do with it. I think they're losing, and they realize they're losing, so it may get worse before it gets better, which is why we've got to keep an eye on each other. They say this young generation coming up is going to be way more conservative than the last couple of generations, because there's been a war on common sense, and we are fighting for a return to meritocracy and a return to American exceptionalism. Our country is not perfect, but we're the best country in history. Our form of government has lifted more people out of poverty, given more people freedom and opportunity than any other country in history. And I'm very hopeful for the future.
Listen, you're out there speaking of the constituents probably more than any other member of the House of Representatives. I literally get people send me a picture like, was that really John McGuire standing out there with his campaign sign that I just could have pulled over and talked to him and said, yep, that's John McGuire standing out there in Goochland. You go talk to him whenever he wants. You go out and talk to people. I've gone to lunch with you before. People make their way. They want to say hi to you. They want to give you their concerns. Do you see the concerns that we have about these young men that seem to be lost right now? There's so many kids that we have in this next generation. We got kids, and you met my son. I'm very proud of him. But there's kids his same age that just seem like they're lost and they're not sure what direction and don't know which way they want to go.
Yeah, well, first of all, about waving at cars, I've been doing that for years, and I'm in a different county every day after my workout. And people come up to me and say, they don't know who to turn to. They say, I'm about to lose my house. And I get their name and number. They say, I've got a problem with a friend overseas who can't get back to the U.S., or I've got a Social Security problem or a Veterans Administration problem. So they won't let me call people at 6 a.m., but I can at least get my day started early and let people know that I'm not some guy you vote for that you're never going to see. Speaking of which, we've got early voting starting either tomorrow or Friday, depending on what county you're in.
Right.
But I think the problem in our country really is we need to get people back to church, and we need accountability. If you give them an inch, they take a mile, so to speak. You need accountability. The Democrats have made a mockery of our criminal justice system, and it's a revolving door. I met a woman who went into a restaurant, and a homeless woman said, let me get the door for you. And when the woman walked in the door, the homeless woman punched her in the back of the head, knocked her out. A police officer saw that and arrested the homeless woman. 3 hours later, a detective called the woman that was knocked out and said, hey, the woman that knocked you out, she was just having a bad day, and we've talked to her, and she's not going to hurt anybody else, so we put her back on the street. 3 hours later, a revolving door, they keep putting dangerous criminals back on the street, which creates more Virginia victims. So we need to get rid of these soft on crime policies, and we need accountability. You should be able to walk down any street in America with your little girl and little boy and be safe. And without accountability, with lawlessness and absentee parenting, you're going to have these problems. But we are working hard to solve those problems.
Real quick before we let you go, we have about a minute and a half here. Your reaction, waiting to see the MOU that's going to come out of the negotiations between Iran and the U.S. A lot of people are running around with scissors down the hallway. Nobody's seen it, but a lot of people are speculating what's in it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I know they're going to meet in Switzerland on June 19th. I know both parties, the U.S. and Iran, we've signed virtual agreements, memorandum of understanding. I trust President Trump and Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. We have great leadership in our team. And, the biggest thing is they cannot have a nuclear weapon. But I think they're going to reopen the Straits of Hormuz. But I got to tell you, I've been really active around the district, visiting different counties, sometimes 2 counties a day and multiple stops. And people are telling me something I didn't even notice myself, is they said they've noticed the gas prices have been going down in the last couple of weeks. Now, our gas prices went up because we wanted to stop the #1 state sponsor of terror from getting a nuclear weapon. But if you remember, the gas prices went up even more than that under Biden because of his ridiculous policies of destroying our energy infrastructure. But we are on our way to become an energy dominant. We brought $18 trillion investment in our country, $20 billion investment in Virginia's 5th district. We are moving this ship around and a better future for all Americans.
And I'm seeing this as I drive down West Broadham at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning to come to work. You're seeing everything dip below $4, now about $3.55. And I've seen that over the last week. And we see where the bent crude is getting down to about $78 a barrel. It drops down a little bit more. We'll be back to where we were before all this started. And if you get Iran without a nuke, then I think that's something that everybody would agree on. That's a good idea. Sir, I appreciate you coming on with us. If I don't get, I hope I'll be able to talk to you before the 4th of July. But if not, happy 4th of July to you and your family.
You as well. And don't forget to vote for John McGuire. We got 45 days starting tomorrow or Friday.
People are just voting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days, it seems like. But again, thank you for reminding everybody early voting begins on Thursday. Sir, thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. God bless you. Bye.
God bless you. Thank you very much. John McGuire joining us here on News Radio WRVA. All right. You want to comment? Feel free. I mean, it's pretty scary. And we've talked about this on the program. There is a whole generation of young men that are just disillusioned right now. And we're going to talk more about this. I think it's something that we need to, as a society, as a community, talk about these young men that are looking for a purpose right now. And it's something bigger than we have time for right now, but I do want to address that on the program. All right, today's program is brought to you in part by Men's Wellness Center. So